Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily show where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story, one barky minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And I'm Jordan D. White from the credits pages of Marvel Comics near you.
Welcome
Are the
back,
comics
Jordan.
near you? I guess they are.
Mine are pretty close.
I got them right here on my
There
table.
you go.
Well, thanks for coming back to discuss minute 67 of Solo. Minute 67 starts with Han Solo saying he and Qi'ra can talk a little first. And then it ends with Qi'ra and the Corellian kissing in the cape closet.
Oh.
Naughty.
Spicy, sexy times.
Well, let's get
winked
to
at
it.
me.
Yesterday, we set up a match game challenge. Han Solo said he figures... What was the setup again?
I thought we'd blank.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
He
I
says
thought
to
we'd
Qi'ra,
blank.
I thought we'd blank. And Jordan, you're our guest. What did you have for your answer for that?
I said I thought we'd try spinning. It's a good trick.
Oh,
that's
very good.
Good one.
Pete, you want to go next?
Yeah, I my mind was a blank, so I just read I thought we'd go for a walk.
Oh,
Go for a walk.
just like
space
laps,
So we'd,
laps around, or did they put on spacesuits and go outside?
Yeah.
instead?
Spacewalk.
I said I thought that they would make whoopee. Make
Whoopee.
So
Whoopee.
none of us matched, but that means Jordan is the winner today. Congratulations, Jordan. You've won a trip to lovely Puerto Vallarta
Amazing.
on the planet of Scarif.
Oh
Let's
my
talk about
God.
minutes.
Beautiful.
Let's
When
talk
it's not
about minute
blowing up.
67.
Okay, listen. I am honored to be here. I forgot until I watched this minute about this, but you guys know what this minute is, right?
Sure, minute 67 of
Mhm.
Solo,
This is the
a
scene-
Star Wars story.
This is the scene, man. This is the scene George Lucas worked on.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes. This is the scene where George Lucas was on the set, and this is the moment when Han grabs the cape and throws it on the floor. That was George. They originally hung it up, and George was like, "No, man, Han Solo doesn't hang it up. He throws it on the floor. He just drops it on the ground." And they were like, "Yeah, George, let's do this." This is the George Lucas directed minute of Solo,
Wow.
Wow.
and I was here for
That's crazy.
it. He's buddies with Ron.
Yeah.
Because Ron was
course.
in American Graffiti, right?
Yeah, they did Willow together. I have no doubt about
yeah,
that, but just the fact that Han Solo was on the set at the same time George Lucas was on the set. It's crazy.
So they're not the same person.
No, I just think that's funny because it's like, where do they draw the line about asking him for, what if he's like, oh, you know what? He should have a scene where he should blast a hole in the wall. And they're like, well, no, that's what Han Solo would do. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they wouldn't have listened, but he had a good suggestion. It is a good bit.
They would send him to a different part of the tour and then be like, okay,
They probably would have filmed it and then been like,
yeah.
it didn't work.
That's true. There was no film.
So there was something, you could see the wall where the shot was off. So
Oh yeah, I see. I like that.
But it plays. Come on. It's a good moment. It plays.
Yeah.
So George has still got it, everybody.
Well, the minute starts with, I think, is a kind of funny, kind of little joke where when Han's saying, I figure we could talk a little bit, and then and he kind of gestures over to Lando's bed.
Yeah.
So I think that's really funny that
Maybe it's the only bed.
But again, seems very presumptuous to try to say, look, hey, Han, Lando, while you're driving the ship, we're gonna make sweet love in here. But like you said, she's the second in command to the crime boss. So what's Lando gonna say?
You got a problem? Tell Dryden Voss.
Yeah, Dryden Voss said I could do this.
Right.
Dryden, go with them. Make love in every room if you feel it.
Right. As long as you come back at the coaxium, hey.
Forget about it.
Hey.
I also want to call attention to these weird, impractical hangers that Lando has. I know they're trying to make them not look like Earth hangers, so they have them. They basically have a loop instead of a hook at the top.
Right.
Which means, like, if you want to get the cape from the back of the, I guess you just take it off the hanger then,
Right.
as opposed to taking the hanger off.
Right, it's like a hotel. You don't take.
But I guess they all have like
Yeah.
a peg, like rather than a
Yeah.
bar that's connected
Yeah.
on both sides. It has to like stick out so you can go like.
So if you want the one on the
Right.
back, all the way in the back,
Just
you have to
Let the record show that the hand gestures that Jordan was just making are in reference to the closet and the hangers, not Han and Qi'ra. Okay, just
that will definitely be the screen grab for today's episode.
yeah.
Well, maybe there you go. That's why they did it. They want you to be thinking in that way in the
yeah.
scene to be like, hold on, I see what's going on with
That's,
the hanger
that's
there.
what George Lucas. He's like, Lando would never have regular coat hangers. I'm like, ugh.
Oh man. So I mean, what do you think of this? So what do you guys think of this couple? By which I mean, obviously, you know, in the epic, right? In the Skywalker saga, Han has a true love in Princess Leia, even though it's like on again, off again, but like they die and then it's like, no, but they still have each other and all that stuff. And yet this movie comes along and goes, but he actually had a love before that. Like, do you think that cheapens it all, or is it like, no, it's whoops, sorry. No, it's he's a guy and he has a life and he loves different people at different points of it. It's just real. Or do you think it's like, nah, it makes the story worse?
I think it makes the story better.
Oh.
I think he should have. It's Han Solo. He should have. You know, like it's the same. You know, but we all know that it got trimmed for time, but he was hanging out with Jenny beforehand, and all these other. You know, Han Solo has been around, and the amount of time spent with Princess Leia is an anomaly. So
Well, but that's what I was going to say. Like that's you're talking about. He's a player. He's got a woman in every port kind of situation. That's not Qi'ra. Qi'ra he pines over her for years.
right.
And is like, no, we're going to settle down. And then it doesn't work out.
Well, but I also think that's also probably, I feel like partially it's sparked on by the fact that I get the impression that they're supposed to be young when they first,
Right.
but they're supposed to be like 19 or something when they,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, it
original
was pretty
scenes. or
young. I mean,
something.
obviously they don't look that young, but yes, they were supposed to be
Yeah, and then they get
pretty young.
separated, so it's kind of easy for him to have this like idealized version of her in his head. That's I'm sure he played around a bit, but was kind of like, in some level, was like, I'll eventually get back together with Qi'ra because,
Yeah,
but-
the academy's co-ed, right? There are women at Stormtrooper Academy.
I think if they had filmed it in the 80s, no. If they filmed it now, yes.
Right.
So depending on when you're filming.
Depending on when you attended.
Yeah, it
So-
wasn't co-ed until at least the early aughts. So
Stormtrooper Academy, class of 48 BBY.
I like them. I mean, I like her. I think she's fun and
Yeah.
kind of sad, obviously. And I don't know. I want to see more of her. I know they're spoilers, like kind of, except it's a thing that's out, so I don't know how spoilers work anymore. She's
They
in the
don't.
comics. Like I haven't read all of it. I'm not 100% caught up on the comics either, but I know she's in the comics, and I've read some of the stuff with her, and I think that's really cool that they were able to bring her back because I think she is a fun character. I
do you?
have
Oh, look at that.
his speeder with
Oh.
him and her in it. This was the first Lego set I bought when I got into Legos, and I wanted it to be the first one I built, but it took longer to get there because again, it wasn't new. So I ended up building Luke's speeder first. But this was the one that inspired me to go, you know what? Maybe I'm going to give this a shot. 'Cause I love it. I have this as a piece of merch from Solo. I also bought 2 sets of the dice. So I have one. So there's one in my car and one in my wife's car. We bought, all honesty, we bought the second pair by accident. Like we didn't realize we ordered 2 and they sent us 2 and we were like, oh, let's send one back. And then my wife was like, no, let's just put it in my car. I was like, great, I'm on
Yeah.
board.
All right.
That way.
You almost got a Yahtzee. You almost got a Yahtzee
Yeah.
set going.
Han
Somewhere
Solo
I have
Yahtzee game.
somewhere I have the Sabacc deck, although I get the Sabacc. What is it called?
Sabacc.
Sabacc.
Yeah.
Somewhere I have the deck for that they were giving out at the last celebration I went to.
Oh.
And I have played it, but it's not easy. Well, because that's the thing. In this movie, the rules of it, as understood by this and by looking it up, don't actually look the same as they are in this movie. Because in the old thing, there was this thing called the shift, where like the cards like change,
Yeah.
and that does not look to be a thing when they're playing this game here.
No.
Yeah.
But,
I remember that being a thing, and then they kind of, over time, I think I think this is like a variation
okay.
of it, and then also they ascribed some of that to Sabacc, which they did with a game from Knights of the Old Republic, where that had cards that changed values, and who knows? It's all a blur.
I wonder if in these situations they develop a game in-house, or do they find a game that exists and say, okay, hey, can we borrow your game and just slap a Han Solo's card game thing on it? Or
this one was definitely in like an in-house thing from what I could tell, because again, it was very specifically about like it was mostly like a normal card game, except it's like then this thing happens that is super weird. And there's all these like terms that they took from like the Idiot's Array and the and the Hibijima.
It's the Shelob or something like that. What was
like all this crazy stuff? So that seemed pretty specific. That said, I think when this movie came out, they put out a card game that was called like the Han Solo card game or something. Like it wasn't even called Sabacc because normal people wouldn't buy that. And I bet you that one is more.
So we talked about that a little bit. There were legal reasons that it was Sabacc for a long time in the ancillary materials role playing game and stuff like that, but they never got around to copyrighting it. And then somebody else beat them to it, and Disney was like, "Wait a minute, nobody copyrighted that before." It was appeared before they bought everything, and when they bought everything, they assumed they had everything. But then
that was their lawyer, Nita. That was their lawyer. Their lawyer was
Captain Nita.
Captain Nita, because he went to apologize and
right. Yeah.
Anyway, just trying to.
Anyway. Yep. Yeah. So they sued a small independent game manufacturer out of business and retained the rights to Sabacc.
Oh, I mean, that's a sad story. At the same time, like, did the person who copyrighted it know they were copyrighting it from Star Wars? Like, were they trying to sneak?
Yeah, they made it. They made their own version of Sabacc. They just made Sabacc and an app version of Sabacc the way that it was described in the role playing game and stuff like that. And they made it, and then they were selling it, and then they were calling it Sabacc, but then. They didn't really fully have a leg to stand on, but also they kind of did. If the tables were turned, Disney would have, no matter what, Disney would have come out on top.
Probably.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. But I was trying to say, I bet you the game that they put out, the like mass market game they put out when Solo came out, I bet you that was probably just some game that was skinned, like some game where they were like, it was just Uno, exactly. It probably was. I mean, I'd play
Solo, Uno.
So you just go Solo. Yeah, that's great.
Right, yeah, there you go. It's just different words that you get to say.
I think you think you're Marco.
Solo.
So
total side note, that happened once at Forbidden Planet once when we, I think I've told this story before, but a harrowed woman came in looking for her son that she couldn't find.
And his name was Marco?
And his name was Marco. And so she's like looking around. She's like, oh no, Marco. And we were all like, Polo. And she's just like gave us this look of like, how dare you? Like, I'm looking for my son who's missing and you're making jokes. And we were just like, hey, just sorry, gut reaction.
Speaking of gut reactions, we have the big makeout scene in this minute. This is the minute, of course, they will flash back to in Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo goes to move in on Princess Leia. He'll be like, oh, you know what I should do? They'll show
Let's go to Chewie's room.
And then go back. I think it's a nice bit of ring theory. It's a nice bit of ring theory here that in this scene, Han's like moving in and Qi'ra's like, oh no, I've done a lot of bad things and, you don't know anything about me or whatever. And it's kind of a flip of... Right. Like in this one, she's the typical for a woman. She's the one blaming herself for what's going on. So, I thought that was neat that she was the one who was the scoundrel in this situation, and as opposed to,
that's
fairly not naive, but I don't know, more. Why would you describe Han Solo? Innocent,
here?
Not
definitely
innocent.
Naive here.
I mean, you could say fairly naive. He's not like innocent, like really, but he's
right. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that
this
movie does. I don't know. I felt like it did a nice job of walking the line between allowing him to be, to be Johnny Cash. No, to be like, kind of a scoundrel, but still like kind of good. Like I know that on some ways it probably hedges a little closer to good than most people would have wanted him to be before A New Hope. But I kind of like that everybody keeps telling him he's good, and he's like, I'm not, man. I'm bad.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's fun.
Yeah, and then it helps that this doesn't like, at the end of this one, it's not like, well, let's go to, Chalmers Cantina and get a drink and see what's up. It doesn't lead right up to. No,
he says,
no.
I hear about a gig on Tatooine. We're a good smuggling job on Tatooine. It's pretty much closely. It's
no, because that's his first job for Jabba.
Right,
that
exactly.
when we meet him in Star Wars, the motion picture, like he's been working for Jabba for a while.
Yeah, Han Mabuki. Like it's been, they have a relationship.
Boogie. Come on.
But no, I agree. I think that it works as a, if there's no stories that ever get told in that window, like it works as, okay, well then that's where he goes there. But I think you're right. I think that's just his first job with Jabba. Job with Jabba. And he will have many jobs with my boy Jabba back here.
Exactly.
So yeah.
One of my beefs with in one of the one of the dents my headcanon took was from the Phantom Menace when we see Jabba being like, he's in front of this huge crowd, everyone's cheering him, and he's like the big guy. And I pictured Jabba being more of like a street level, he's not the New York City mafia. He's like the Tony Soprano, like he's that level. He's not like an intergalactically known. I don't know. He would have some connections, obviously, but. So the fact that he's dealing with Han Solo on a face-to-face level does not seem like the head of a huge organization that he's personally going in but like you said, maybe he develops a relationship with Han. He calls him his boogie and so on. So maybe that's why he was doing it in person. So
maybe it's gone downhill. Like maybe he used to be a lot
ups and downs of a crime lord,
bigger of a deal than he is now. I mean,
he started getting high from his own supply, and that's when we saw him in Jedi. It was
clearly. He was so out of it. God damn.
It would have been great if we saw him and he was like young and like a young, fit, like humanoid guy, and then gradually
and then somebody comes up and says, "Hey, Jabba, I got this shipment of spice." He's like, "Well, we don't deal in spice." Like, maybe just this once, and then cut
Sample
to him
it,
being
then you'll want to
"Oh."
sell it.
Right.
Yeah. But weirdly, perhaps personal question.
Uh-oh.
Have either of you ever
Qi'ra? No.
kiss someone in a performance, like in either part of a school play or a student film or whatever? Jordan, you are nodding. You have done it.
Oh yeah.
What's it like?
What's it like? In college, the one that definitely happened, by which I mean like I went all the way to the performance of it, was Cabaret. I was in Cabaret and I played Cliff in Cabaret, and I had to kiss Sally Bowles. Although I will say the weirder thing was I had to slap her. Kissing somebody. Sure, it's exciting because you're like, ooh, kissing. But like the fact that I actually had to slap her on stage, I was very nervous about that because I was like, I don't. Oh my God, I keep swearing. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so
That's
sorry.
right.
I don't want to hurt her. By accident. Well, I mean, I didn't. I hurt her on purpose by slapping her, but I did never get too bad. By which I mean,
right. You hurt her.
The other time was I was cast in a play, a student written play, the plot of which was basically two people making out and fighting, and I rehearsed for it once because when I got cast in it, I was like, I can do this play that you want me to do as long as it's not going for performance on this weekend specifically because I will be away. And then we did one rehearsal, and at that rehearsal he was like, so it's going to be on that weekend, and I went, then I can't do it. That's the thing I told you. But I did the one rehearsal where I was making out with this very beautiful woman for 20 minutes.
Rehearsal.
It was ridiculous. I bribed the director. I said, thank you for this. I appreciate it. No. It's definitely a little weird, but I mean, I'm not like a professional actor by any stretch of the imagination. I was doing a lot more acting back then.
Sure.
I don't know. It's definitely a little weird to think about, but you're in the moment. And like I said, it's not the weirdest. It's not the most uncomfortable part for me. So there you are.
Because you're cool.
Because I'm super cool.
Exactly.
Pete?
Anybody wants to see me?
Pete?
I'll kiss them.
No, I did most of my acting in kind of preteen years. But I
better that didn't happen then.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I enjoyed it. I feel like I had a knack for it. I was getting good parts, but then I switched schools and never I in high school I went to a different school each year basically, and I never got the hang of like, oh, the cool kids are when is the tryouts? Oh, it's too late, like that kind of a thing. So lost it in high school, and then just never picked it back up again. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start acting.
When you said when you're talking about your childhood acting, these are like school plays and stuff.
School plays and summer camp plays and stuff like that, and there were
not like commercials or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
I was a model in one a set of magazine ads for Jim Beam.
What were you modeling?
Oh my goodness.
Whiskey.
At what age?
26, 25.
Oh, okay.
26,
I thought you meant as a young
No.
kid.
I
was
thought
like,
you
what?
meant too.
No, I got stopped on the street, and they're like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "What's going on?" And it's like, you have to be, I think, 25 or older to advertise liquor. And so they stopped. They took a Polaroid of me, attached it to a thing, took down my phone number, and then a couple weeks later, I got a call saying, "Come to this place," and got a haircut and $1,000 to pretend to drink whiskey all day.
Oh,
that's bananas! And you did. They stopped you on the street.
Huh?
That's amazing. What an amazing story.
Wow.
Just walking around in public, somebody's like, that's a whiskey drinking man. Let's
he
get
looks
him.
like maybe he was out late drinking whiskey and now he was trying to get to work.
Like, sir, wake up. We have an offer for you.
Hey, buddy, you can't sleep here.
Amazing. So, so Alex, did you kiss anybody? Did you kiss anybody?
No, I never, not in any professional capacity or anything. Not in a, not
that's
in
right. From a certain point of view,
not in a performance. Yeah.
Right.
I guess I wasn't professional. I wasn't being paid. I was a student, so I was a student kisser, not a professional kisser.
You had that big sign on your back that said like be patient, student kisser.
And I imagine for the folks at this level, they've done it a million times. They've kissed a million people there.
Right.
Yeah.
They've seen a million faces and they kissed them all.
So I think the only movie I'd seen Alden in before this was the Coen Brothers movie, the
Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar, which he was very funny in, but obviously doesn't give a sense that he could be Han Solo. Whereas her, I'd watched Game of Thrones, so I'd seen her for a ton before this.
Does she? I know she does other things, but does she do kissing in that? I know there's a lot of other activities that cart before the horse kind of stuff, but I don't know if
she kills a horse.
There you go.
Eats its heart. So there you go. No, I don't know. Actually, you're right. I don't know if there's a lot of kissing.
At least in the beginning, before Solo came out.
Yeah.
Because this kind of anyway.
So getting back to what were you gonna say, Pete? Go ahead.
No, I was going to go back to the. I wanted to talk about something else in the Falcon here next to their kissing.
Okay. One more thing about the kissing.
Okay. You want to go back and talk about the kissing parts?
Yeah. So Jordan,
just like
you were saying before about Qi'ra, the relationship with Qi'ra, and people being. I feel like that's a reason that Qi'ra is not a popular character, because the people who like Han and Leia being true love see Qi'ra as like, that's like your old girlfriend. She better stay the hell away.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something to that, which is why when they start kissing and the music swells, I really thought it was going to go into the Han Solo and the Princess theme. Oh my God, people would flip out if that had happened.
Or it
that's
should
just
like
Han Solo's makeout theme. That's not Han Solo and the Princess. That's Han Solo and whoever he's with.
Right. Han Solo and blank. Everybody write down your answers.
I mean, I love it.
Or what if it played the Indian Marion music? Would it be, that would be double confusing? It would be like, what?
Yeah.
I'm sure if I heard it, I would recognize it, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you
the problem. You can cycle really easily between the Han and Leia music, Han Solo and the Princess, the Indian Marion music, and the Can You Read My Mind? Because it's all John Williams love themes from 79, 80, 81.
That makes sense.
And so it's similar ground, although they're all good.
Yeah.
They're not exactly the same, but
Although that Can You Read My Mind thing is probably like the weakest part of the movie, right?
I don't know.
We not agree with that?
I don't know.
Moving on.
That song is good. Anyway.
Well, I'm not talking about the song. I just mean the whole.
You're talking about the disco version.
Yeah.
Who was that? Who? Anyway.
Well,
the two things that I had to talk about were before they start kissing, I realize now, because I also had Han and Qi'ra music. That's my last note because it's an interesting. We got to ask Chrysanthi about this because it's Han and Qi'ra music. I don't recall hearing it earlier when they were kind of doing their thing, and now that they're kissing, there's a little swell of it, and it sounds a little bit. I don't know. Again, I don't know. It not super memorable, but like appropriate. It seems like it's doing a similar kind of thing that the Han Solo and the Princess music would be, but it's just different.
Who wrote the music? I forget.
Isn't this like Ludwig Göransson, or am I getting that? No, he's the Mandalorian guy.
Yeah, he's Mandalorian. I knew this at one point because I have the soundtrack somewhere, but
people should, of course, listen on Fridays, I think, are when episodes typically come out. The Star Wars Music Minute podcast. We'll be talking about this.
Type Solo soundtrack, and it's showing me the one from the Mario Van Peebles movie because of our April Fool's episode.
John Powell.
John Powell, yes. We talked about that, I think, when Chrysanthi was on. The music nerds are yelling at us so much right now.
Powell.
Yeah,
John Powell has done a bunch of stuff. The head composer for DreamWorks Animation.
Got it.
And
he scored all the Bourne films, or at least a lot of them.
And so I don't it's not saying anything about his scoring in particular, but I usually don't notice the music unless it stands out. And here it stood out for a second, but not in a necessarily good or bad way. It's just like, oh, look, and they're playing a love theme. It's no love theme from Attack of the Clones, let me tell you that.
What is?
But here are my two notes from before the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
One is Mirror and the Falcon, which of course then I want to sing the English beat the whole time because there's like you see them in the closet, in the cape closet. There's a full length mirror that obviously if you're going to put a cape on, you want to look at yourself in the mirror, and it's kind of involved in the shot once or twice. We don't really see mirrors in Star Wars.
I was just going to say, have we ever seen a mirror? We've seen reflections in water, but never in a mirror that I can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like movies in general.
Like when Rey it's not a mirror. Like when Rey walks up in the cave, in the seaweed hole.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about things like Padme's apartment and stuff. Like,
right.
That's where you'd think
she's brushing her hair at some point, but I think she was just like staring out into space, brushing her hair. Right. She was like looking at the sunset or something.
Huh. Yeah, I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Right now, 1,000 people are yelling at us because there's an episode of Clone Wars where Santine looks in a mirror, and
but yes, Mirror and the Falcon, and then I cringed for a second when it's like, yeah, come with me. She's like, I can't, we don't have time or something like that. And he says, yeah, we could have all the time we want, and I was like, no, don't. That's like the danger of I was maybe gun shy for Alex. You haven't watched the most recent James Bond yet, but of course, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, that's the kind of trigger at the end. They're just like, because we have all the time in the world, and that means you're going to die immediately. So
that's like the one day before retirement kind of.
Yeah, essentially. But being with the one you love and saying like, we have all the time in the world, and then it's. Yeah.
That's you're going to drop your glasses and not be able to read.
Exactly. Time enough at last.
Yeah.
Of course, she doesn't die though.
Well,
so they got you. They tricked
you. But they don't have time.
But they don't end up. They don't end up with all the time in the world.
Not in the slightest. She chooses.
I would like to see an alternate cut of this movie then, where instead of the closing theme, you play the Louis Armstrong, all the time in the world. I want to see how that ends. What's the ending? Like, I forgot, because you see like Darth Maul and stuff at the end, and then it's like da 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 da, and you get a little Star Wars thing. I want to hear Louis Armstrong.
Does it end on Darth Maul, or does it end on?
It's like Darth Maul, and then it's like the yacht flying away, right?
Oh, is it? Okay, for some reason I would have thought we would end.
Does it end on Han Solo?
No. Then it goes to Han Solo winning the Falcon.
And flying away, and then going to saying we're going to go to Tatooine.
Oh, right. And going into hyperspace. There you go. Yeah. So hyperspace, boom, Louis Armstrong.
Do you think
not Lulio Primoc?
Do you think we will ever have not classical style music in Star Wars? Obviously, The Mandalorian, they're playing around with that. But do you think we'll ever have pop music,
interesting,
anything like that? Even someone singing in a Star Wars.
Well, we have that.
We have
a bunch.
But I mean, on the soundtrack, not diegenic music.
Not
will we have
Well, technically, we have that in that in like Duel of the Fates, but I know that's not what you mean.
Right. Or the Infinite Nest theme.
That's a great question. I think the answer is like now, yeah, because you're right. The Mandalorian and then a little bit in Book of Boba Fett, they started playing with that. Like,
that's
what
true.
if
They
we
have
use
a lot
different
more
kinds
choruses
of music,
and things like that.
Right.
Like I'm trying to imagine like a, I don't know, like a John Carpenter score for a Star Wars movie. That'd be pretty fun. Or like a rock score, like a guitar based score. Like that'd be neat. There was that one of those cartoons was rock based that they just did.
Oh yeah, the Visions. I mean
one of the Visions.
Yeah,
that was kind of fun.
I had a vision. Not the guy who's not Dryden Voss.
6'3" Paul Bettany.
Yeah. No, it's such a Disney thing, and so I'm more like it would be interesting if there's if there is like a pop song in the middle, like in the movie, and then over the closing credits you get like the cover of the pop song by like a different
Hutties version.
Well, you get like during the because with a lot of the Disney
cartoons.
Kind of animated movies, you get like there's a song sung in the movie, but then at the end you get a cover of it by like Weezer or like I forgot who the other ones are. Panic at the Disco. I think those are both Frozen too.
They are. Yeah. Good, well remembered.
You may know that I have a 7-year-old daughter.
But no, I see what you mean. So like why didn't we get like a I don't know who doing a cover of Jabba Flow kind of situation, or
right? Yeah,
I don't know who
Ed Sheeran.
Right? Yeah,
that's amazing. Yes. Now, and presumably though, I would imagine they would just have him sing English words. Wait, didn't we get that? Didn't we get that on? Wasn't there an English version of Yub Nub?
The track they recorded that you heard it like on set when they were doing the puppets, but I don't think it was ever released.
Wait, are you talking about Lopty Neck or
Work It Out?
Ewok Celebration?
I was talking about Ewok Celebration.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Jabba the Hutt.
There was a Miko single of it. Now we got to call up Tony. We got to call up Chrysanthi to talk about the score. We got to call up Tony to talk about the bizarre albums associated with it. Yeah, there was a Miko version that has like a rap in it and stuff like that. That was released around the same time.
Okay, so it was not on the original soundtrack, though.
But not on the original soundtrack, no.
But I would be on board for that. I mean...
I think the rap is in Ewokese, though, but there's some English lyrics to it.
That's very weird.
Oh, we should, if you haven't, you got to listen to that.
I've heard that. Okay.
I'll find it in between. If you can come back tomorrow, I'll send you. You can listen to it tonight and come back.
Sounds good.
Is it called Ewokese?
No.
Their language? Yeah, I believe so.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Okay.
Huh.
I mean, why not, right?
Ewokese was
put
the
E's on the back of any
lively language spoken by the furry diminutive Ewoks who lived on the forest moon of Endor.
A lively language. What's with this editorializing?
How many languages do you have? Are you on Wikipedia? Is there a list of languages?
I went back to YouTube to try to find the Ewok celebration.
We can do basic.
What about
Huttese?
Jawa language.
But that's do they call it Jawese?
Wow. Ewokese has a word to describe those who are not Ewoks, which literally translates into nakeds. So people who aren't Ewoks, to Ewoks they call them nakeds.
Well, would that mean that Chewbacca is an Ewok? To them?
No,
I don't know.
They're like,
they
looks
would,
like an
they
Ewok
would probably
to me.
call him a giant Ewok.
Okay, that's fair.
And then the droids are metal Ewoks. Everything's just whatever kind
the
of
droids are metal nudists.
I mean, yeah, we've got Shriwook. That's not Wookiees.
Right.
No, that's true.
Because that would have been confusing.
Right.
Because every creature doesn't necessarily have to have its language come from the name of the... You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. plus like a ton of them speak Huttese, which is unfortunate.
A ton of them. And we know C-3PO is fluent in 3 million forms of communication?
6 million.
6 million. Wow, it's gone up since inflation, huh?
Yeah, that's funny.
That for 3 million
we hear like 10 maximum, and yet he speaks 6 million.
I wonder if C-3PO speaks the sign language that the Tusken Raiders use.
It is a form of communication, but I can't see him moving his fingers.
Did he try to say something before
That's why they tore his arm off. Yeah. They were like, shut up.
Like, don't you dare say that to me.
All right. Anything else for minute number 67?
No, it's very wonderful and romantic.
That's pretty much it.
All right, then let's wrap that up. And hey, what do these films have in common? Top Gun,
Mm.
Time Bandits,
Mm.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Groundhog Day, and Ex Machina?
Hmm.
Well, of course, those are the most recent films that have been added to moviesbyminutes.com, the hub of all the Movies by Minutes podcasts that you could ever be interested in. So if any of those movies or any of the other over 200 films that people have done sound interesting to you, go to moviesbyminutes.com, check them out. Probably find most of them where you download podcasts, but moviesbyminutes.com is your place to go first. And then come here tomorrow for another Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.